weekly look at all of the hot topics in HR.
Whether it's passive talent or it's active talent.
That's a soft skill that really gets undersold in the hiring process.
How to manage in the virtual environment.
You get a diverse cultured group of people. It's a win-win for everybody.
More conversion from candidate lead.
What does that look like in this new virtual world?
Welcome to Talent Experience Live from my dark basement here in Pennsylvania. But hey, we're global. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. And we're live on Facebook. So if you're here, if you're active, if you're in the chat, definitely shout out. We want this to be live, interactive, energetic. We're going to have some fun. We have a super exciting episode for you today. If this is your first time tuning in, whether you're watching live or on the replay, this is Talent Experience Live. This is a weekly look. We're here every week, folks. Weekly look at the latest and greatest topics in HR, interviews with leaders in the industry, and really just talking about what's new in HR tech. What are the hot topics? And we go deep. We have some fun, and we're excited for you to be here today. Every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, whatever your favorite channel of choice is. Tune in, bookmark us, like us. Smash that like button. We always appreciate that. Super helpful for us. And subscribe. Let us know. Keep coming back. Again, we're covering everything that you need to know in talent experience, recruitment, talent acquisition, talent management. And on this week's show, we have a really cool, interesting topic. And this is going to be a fun one. We're going to cover 10 of the most unconventional ways to hire. Unconventional. Some might say hashtag not normal, right? And we're going to be covering that with a good friend of ours, Luke, who was actually on the show a while ago. So we'll bring Luke on in just a bit. But before we do, I just want to give everyone an opportunity to filter into the room, get acclimated with the chat, because I want to see your comments, right? So if you're on LinkedIn, what I want to do is a quick icebreaker. If you're new to Talent Experience Live, we'd like to do an icebreaker each week. And this week, I actually want to start something new. Instead of doing a different icebreaker each week, I want to start with the same icebreaker and just keep it going. I want to hear your not normals, right? And this is something we do at Phenom, and it's super exciting. And it's super exciting for any new employees that join our company here. We get to learn a little bit about them by learning about what makes them hashtag not normal. So for me, my not normal is that I've owned over 30 guitars in my life, which is a bit of a ridiculous thing. Some might say it's a problem, and quite frankly, it is a problem. Not all at one time, of course. I don't have the space for all of that. But over the years, I've collected a bunch of guitars. So shout out in the chat. What is your hashtag not normal? Let us know. We'd love to hear in the comments. Also, let us know where you're tuning in from. Super exciting for us to get a sense of kind of representation across the globe. Really exciting. I like to tell people I work for the internet because I get to engage with people all across the world, which is super exciting. It's a huge benefit of working for a software company like Phenom. But hey, let's get into the topic today. So without any further ado, let's just bring on Luke, and we're going to start rapping about these 10 unconventional ways to hire. Luke, how are you today?
Tom, I'm doing wonderful. Thanks so much for having me back.
I am so excited to have you back. And I think when you started, when you were first with us on Talent Experience Live, we were just audio. We were audio only.
That's right.
It was me, you, and a colleague of ours. And we talked a little bit about your history, your background, Cheddar Bay biscuits, if you recall.
How can I forget?
I know you. So anybody, we'll find the link and we'll drop it in. We'll drop it into the notes here because that's a great interview with Luke. You'll learn a little bit about him. He always brings the energy and brings the positivity, and I'm excited for you to be back with us today. So Luke, why don't you tell us and tell all the fine people at home who are tuning in, who are you and what do you do here at Phenom?
I will. And by the way, I want to start off with, I don't think having 30 guitars is crazy, Tom.
How many do you have, Luke?
I only have 3, but I understand the urge to want more. Like it keeps growing because people might know like different tones come out of different guitars for different styles of music. They look really good on your wall. You can just never have enough.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I've been here for about 2.5 years now. I work on Eric Offner's team in enterprise sales. So I basically cover a few states, enterprise organizations with 20,000 employees and up, all verticals. So I get to have amazing conversations with talent acquisition leaders and C-levels and managers and recruiters. So I get a wide range of conversations going.
It's awesome. And I'm sure you've seen some unconventional things in your day, right? So we're going to get into it. And I just have to admire the fantastic tagline that our team came up with for today's episode. Clickbait, Craigslist, catfishing, Clambakes. These are all unique ways to hire, and we're going to throw some more into the mix. So super excited. Jonathan Dale's calling out in the chat. It's awesome. And hey, we got some not normals in the comments too. Jennifer is obsessed with removing ivy from trees. Certainly not normal. Although that ivy can be pesky. So I appreciate that. S. Amy Skiles, not normal, is that I have to eat the folded potato chips first. Oh my gosh, I love that. I've never heard that before, but that is amazing. Luke, hit me with a not normal.
Dude, this is bad. My feet are as wide as they are long. Not even kidding. It's difficult to buy shoes.
Wow. I've never heard that before either. Interesting. So do you have to custom buy your shoes or just get lucky, find the right pair?
Well, it's not that they're like custom, but I only have the choice between like 3 or 4 pair of whatever I'm getting.
Yeah. I hear you with that. John Ryle is chiming in. I eat the whole apple, core and all.
Ooh.
John, that's dangerous. But thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate it. Hey, keep the comments going throughout this whole episode because I want to hear your unconventional ways to hire as well. We're going to wrap on these. And one of the reasons why we wanted to bring up this topic is because we've seen HR has been doing many things the same way for far too long. Years, maybe one would even say decades. And we had a great episode in the past, is the cover letter dead, right? And really talking about these interesting things that we just continue to do. And honestly, a lot of these things that we're doing, it's putting candidates through hoops that they don't need to go through. And it's not hitting candidates where they are. It's not engaging and it's not connecting with them. So Luke, you brought this up as a potential topic. Why are you passionate about this? What do you want to wrap on today?
Oh, well, first of all, so I'm going to get kind of philosophical here as we go along, but in HR technology, you know, the job boards came out and the ATS systems came out, let's say about 20 years ago, ish, give or take. So when we look at that, we were solving a problem. What we were doing was taking a manual application and creating an electronic version. Well, now here we are 20 years later, and the manual version of that doesn't exist anymore. So now companies are looking at ways, well, how do we actually recruit people and get them interested in our organization outside of the confinements of what we had 20 years ago? And while when we look at how we buy products, right, on Amazon or we interact on social media, it completely changed what we do. The entire trip of going to get a product, now you don't have to do that, right? So the future that I'm hearing leaders say right now is to get outside of the box with that and bring it all into individual communications. And not only that, to take it one step further, the silver bullet, and it's super simple, is just to get people imagining what it's like to work for your organization. And of course, there's multiple ways of doing that. And I think that's what we're going to go through on the show. Yeah. But that's really what's working today. Because if anybody, and you know, everyone that I talk to on a daily basis will tell you just the same old way of doing it just flat out isn't working anymore. I mean, we can see it in our economy.
You can see it in the economy. I mean, I'm in marketing. You can see it in marketing, obviously, and it has transformed significantly in the past 5 to 10 years. One thing that, you know, recruiters and sourcers, they need to work with is just the amplification of noise that we've all experienced over the past however many years. And you know, honestly, now that many of us are working from home and we are just glued to our computer screens and our phones 24/7, we're just inundated with content. I mean, you're watching Talent Experience Live right now on LinkedIn. Like, you are consuming content right now. And the moments that you are consuming content, there are recruiters that are trying to get a hold of you. There are businesses that are trying to pitch their products to you. There's advertising that's happening. There's just so much signals and noise. And how do you cut through that, right? How do you cut through that? And what we found is one of the best ways to cut through that is to start thinking outside the box and get a little unconventional. So with that, let's jump right in to number one. The first thing that we thought is a no-brainer. Like, this is easily one of the simplest things you can do these days. Use video, and specifically use video on your career site. I'm curious, Luke, in your engagements with organizations that have been doing this, what are some interesting things that you've seen, unconventional uses of video on a career site?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the best advice that I can give for anyone that's looking to do this is not to overthink it, and don't invest too much resources into it. So the most authentic videos are the ones that are done, where you can tell someone's being genuine, right? On your phone. Yeah, I mean, you can go out and spend money on drones or have a crew come in to make videos and everyone's buttoned up. You can tell they're kind of nervous. It's not real. It's not authentic. And somebody's not going to envision themselves working for your company in that atmosphere, because it might seem simple, but that's not what it's like at work every day. What they want to know is they want real videos of people. They want people saying, you know what, I've worked with Tom. He's great. Here's what I'm passionate about. And here's why I like working for this organization. And just that little snippet is so impactful, because a lot of folks aren't doing it today.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you think about, or at least I think about those commercials that you see, pharmaceutical commercials, where it's always a paid actor, these are paid actors, they're paid actors, right? It. And, before video was so prevalent on career sites and any related sites, stock photos were everywhere. They're stock photos, right? And with video, you have to cut through with authenticity. And one of the best ways to do that is to have your employees, whether it's using their mobile device, which is super, pretty high tech these days. I mean, the cameras in your iPhones and your Samsung phones are incredibly capable these days of producing high quality, career site ready video. And if you can just unlock that and have some of your employees start to tell the stories of what it's like to work at your organization, to your point, Luke, your candidates will start to envision themselves being there. I love it. Yeah, I think this is a quick win, right? And there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, because, okay, video on the career site, maybe you're at home thinking, that's not that unconventional. We have video on our career site today, or, we're already doing that. One thing that I thought would be really interesting that I'm not seeing enough of is Q&A with a hiring manager.
Love it.
That'd be amazing, right? So it's not just what is it like to work, because everyone has seen the company's core values video, and a lot of that ends up being a little fluffy, admittedly. It's fluffy, it's high level, it's aspirational. It's all great stuff to have on your career site. But at the end of the day, if I'm envisioning myself working at your company, what does my day-to-day look like? Who am I working for? What am I doing? So have a Q&A with someone on your team, on that hiring team, or someone, or like the hiring manager. And I can see authentically, this is going to be my boss. This is the person who's hiring for this role. I can get to know what they're looking for. Anything else that you're thinking, might be a good complement to that?
Yeah, I think so. To piggyback on that, first of all, I love the Q&A with the hiring manager, but to take it one step further, why don't we have hiring managers talk about what they look for in candidates and what to do in order to get a job on their team? So think about it this way. So we have staffing firms out there, right? And they make a lot of money, right? That's a huge industry. Yet for an internal talent acquisition team, they always say, oh, well, I don't want to give a candidate an unfair advantage by, coaching them and telling them what we like to see. I promise you, those recruiting firms are coaching all of their candidates.
Yep.
So the ones that we have internally, we're actually setting them up for failure from the beginning by not giving them the roadmap or telling them what you value as a leader. Now, two things can come from this. Again, I see lots of comments about authenticity. It's authentic, and people will self-rule themselves out, right? If a job is like cold calling like 1,000 people a day and somebody doesn't want to do that, they're going to self-select out of that. Now, the candidate doesn't waste time. The company doesn't waste time with that candidate. But if that's somebody's thing and that's what they like to do, now they know what to talk about in the interview, and it's just a win-win for everybody. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Our our purpose at Phenom is helping 1 billion people find the right job. And when you really key in on that, the right job, it's important to consider that the right job to your point, it's two ways. It's the right job for the organization, but it's also the right job for the candidate. And one of the best ways to illuminate if this is the right job is to have the hiring manager talk about what the right candidate looks like, right? And what they need. I really appreciate this. Anybody here in the chat, in the comments, if you're doing anything interesting with video, chime in, let us know. If you're doing anything unconventional on the career site, chime in, let us know. We want to have those conversations live here on TXL, so definitely do that. But the clock is ticking, so we'll move right to number 2. Video on the career site requires a candidate to be on your career site, right? So hey, if the candidate's not on the career site, they're never going to see that video. So number 2, something that's near and dear to both of our hearts, Luke, is start a podcast. Now we can talk a little bit about what a podcast is and what you should talk about, but honestly, like, this is one of the easiest quick wins. I think when people listen to podcasts, they probably think there's no way I could do anything like that. But as a podcaster myself, and Luke, why don't you talk a little bit about the Bo and Luke show and kind of your history, and let the people know it's not that hard. It is not that hard to launch a podcast in 2021.
Tom, it is so easy to start a podcast. Alarmingly easy. You can, I mean, you see we have microphone setups. These might look amazing to the viewers. They're actually not even that expensive.
Nope.
They plug right into your computer. And you don't even need that. You could record directly on your, just onto your computer with a built-in microphone if you wanted to. But it's a way to reach tons and tons of people. So I started the Bo and Luke show with my co-host, Bo Bravo, who's actually an author, used to be director of HR at the White House for Barack Obama and George Bush. He's way more interesting than I am.
Amazing. Yeah,
amazing. But we started off just saying, you know what, let's learn how to improve professionally and personally. How do we become a better coworker, a better father, a better friend? And started interviewing people. Now we're almost 100 episodes in. And I'll tell you, it opens doors. It opens so many doors to the amount of connections that you'll get. So now when we tie this back to talent acquisition, like, I'll throw some ideas out there for folks right now. Depending on what your initiative might be, let's take diversity and inclusion. Huge topic right now that everybody is really trying to improve on the corporate level. Why don't you start a podcast to help a certain demographic of people in order to get a job? So I'm going to pick one out. Let's do veterans, for example. So if you want to recruit veterans, and that's really where you need to grow, you got a mandate from your CEO in order to grow your veteran population. Do a podcast about transitioning from the military into the workforce. Now you've just targeted veterans directly that are at that point making that decision. And your candidate pool grows exponentially when you do that. And not only that, the guests that you have on, they're going to know people. They're going to have referrals as well, so you can get personal with that.
Yeah, and I think one thing to think about too, that I think will add resistance, right, to people thinking, oh, that's a great idea, Luke, but I don't think we're going to do something like that. Because I think a lot of people think when you start a podcast, you're making that decision to do it forever, right?
Yeah.
Podcast doesn't have to be forever. You could do a 6-episode series on that, right? Where you are interviewing maybe 6 veterans who have made that career transitions, right? Or who have
Absolutely
seen progressions. And then you have a standalone body of work, right? You have a 6-episode series that is evergreen content that's going to live on forever. And then when you're recruiting veterans and when you're engaging that audience, you will always have that piece of content to point to, right? And say, we created this because it is ingrained in our mission and our purpose, and it's important to us. And the other thing too, for any podcast listeners, I'm sure you've heard ads on your podcast that you've listened to before. You can be your own sponsor, right? So
that's right.
Today's episode is brought to you by your company. And hey, we have some fantastic jobs open for people just like you. Head on over to careers.yourcompany.com to check them out today. So that if you're listening to that podcast today, if you're listening to that podcast episode 6, 12, 18 months from now, you're constantly getting new people finding you, finding your employer brand, finding your open jobs and careers, and connecting that to the topics and connecting that to the purpose. So if anybody is interested in podcasting whatsoever, but you're intimidated by it, we're not going to get into it on this episode, but reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Tom Tate, you'll find me, Tom Tate from Phenom. I will help you in any way possible get started with the podcast. Luke, I'm not going to volunteer your time, but I'm sure you'd be happy to help too, answer any questions. Super passionate about this one. Awesome. Number 3, similar to a podcast, right? But taking it from audio and getting into the video space, create a YouTube channel. Why do you think this might be worthwhile?
Again, it goes back to the authenticity. Just record people doing their normal things. If you have like a party for somebody at work for whatever reason, videotape that. Put it up on the YouTube channel. If you have an awards or a recognition ceremony for anybody, put that up there. If you have a team lunch, throw that up there too. You know, I mean, it's just one way to where, again, people can envision themselves actually doing the job and being part of that individual community, which when we look at jobs, I truly believe, and I'm sure people will blow up the comments about this and argue with me, but I truly believe it's almost half skill and purpose, half community that you're joining with any company.
Right. And I think, again, just giving people that glimpse, letting people see firsthand, doesn't have to be overproduced. You can drop that into a YouTube channel. That it doesn't have to be your primary brand's YouTube channel. You know, meet with your marketing team, meet with your comms team, see if there's an opportunity for you to do a spinoff and kind of create that employer brand channel. The other thing too that is super compelling with YouTube, when we're thinking about attracting talent, right? Being magnetic, bringing them in, having them find us versus us finding them. YouTube is one of the most prominent search engines on the globe, right? So, you know, the most prominent one is probably Google. Well, Google owns YouTube, and you know, people, when they are looking for certain topics, they want to learn about things. They're searching Google, they're searching YouTube. So if there's a specific topic you want to key in on, or if there's a hard to fill type of role that you want to attract, create content around that. And you might boost your opportunity of being pulled in on those search engines. The YouTube search engine is incredibly powerful. Great way to engage and attract those hard to reach candidates.
Absolutely.
So number 4, Luke, I might have to lean on you a little bit, just because this isn't my domain of choice. But hey, we can see how far we can get on this one. Create a TikTok channel, right? Start creating TikTok content. It is the popular thing these days. They're short, they're sweet. They are certainly unconventional. They are highly entertaining. I know from people I know who engage on TikTok regularly, it's quite addictive. So people are spending a lot of time on there.
Hours.
When we're thinking about attracting candidates and letting them in, inviting them into our world, this is where many candidates are. They're spending time on here. So how can we reach them? How can we engage them? What does this content look like, do you think, from a recruiter? Do you have any ideas?
You know, so here's the thing. If you're not that familiar with TikTok, I love it, by the way. It is a giant time waster, but and when I say time waster, when I say hours, like people are on there like 3-4 hours at a time without like lifting their head up. It's crazy. Yeah. But their algorithm is super cool. So it just depends on if you watch a video all the way through and like something, or if you skip past it, it kind of tags it on the back end and then knows what kind of topics you like. So it's got an interesting way of just sliding into what you already like in life, right? It's kind of, I don't want to say it's creepy, but it's cool. And it's usually spot on. Like after you use it for about 20 minutes, it probably figures out that, you know, you love guitars and that you like podcasts, and it'll figure all that out.
Yeah.
But you know, again, so for recruiting, it's a little bit different, right? Because your message is going to have to change based on who you want your target audience to be. So if somebody's going to do this, first of all, it's super easy. So all the videos are like 15, 20 seconds long. So feel free to do whatever you want, but have like little snippets of information and have it be something that somebody else is interested in for that job. So for example, if you're going in sales, right? You're recruiting salespeople. Maybe have a tip of how to cold call somebody and get somebody on the phone.
Yeah.
maybe have a recording of somebody that like just lost their mind and hung up on you. Cause like, look, that happens every day and it's funny. Like it's funny to everybody else when that happens.
Yeah. And like, I could totally see this being an opportunity for HR to reach out to champions across the organization. Cause maybe you do have that one charismatic salesperson who's already creating TikTok content on their own, for their personal brand, on the personal side. And you can work with them, right? Because maybe on your HR team, you don't have the charismatic, engaging, energetic person who's going to be that TikTok star, right?
That's right.
You don't need that. Work with your team, reach out across the aisle. Maybe you have engineers who want to talk about AI, and you're trying to recruit people who do machine learning and people who do advanced engineering. Have engineers, do a quick tip about AI, and you can throw that on the feed. And hey, if you tag it right and it starts to get traction, you're going to be reaching those people who might be looking for the right job, and you might have it.
That's right. Cool. Or even back to what we were talking about at the beginning about a hiring manager saying how to get a job at the company.
Yeah.
Why not make that like your 20-second TikTok? Like, hey, how do I get a job on Tom's team? Right. And you could just say,
perfect.
You quick. Exactly. And that would work. And it's intriguing.
Yeah. It's perfect. And again, it can be a light lift. It doesn't have to be super strenuous on your team to be creating these videos. You don't need a production studio or production team. Keep them very loose, authentic, fun, entertaining. Amy reaches out and says, my TikTok feed is full of dogs. There it is. It's the algorithm, right? It's learning. Absolutely. So
mine is too, Amy.
How many of your competing employer brands and competing organizations are using TikTok? Probably not that many, right? So this is absolutely unconventional. It's an opportunity for you to be in a new space. And it speaks to something which I think is really critical here. We're trying to reach candidates where they are, right? Yep. Candidates are not always going to come to us. You have to reach them where they are. And we know they're on TikTok. And insert TikTok with any other, potential channel or medium that might pop up, or might be engaging to a specific audience. If you know that they're there, it's an opportunity for you to experiment, to have fun, and to reach people where they are.
That's right. And it's, when I say it catches on like wildfires, I know two that I've met within the last 2 years. They now make over $1 million a year doing nothing but TikTok videos.
It's wild.
Isn't that nuts? They quit their job. Yeah. They have no time.
Yeah.
$1 million a year. That's crazy.
So have fun and experiments. We're going to kind of shift over now to, after we've attracted candidates, right? And we talked about a couple great ideas, unconventional ways that you can attract candidates when you're trying to hire. How do we convert? How do we get them from, okay, I'm starting to see myself in this role with this company. You've shown me the way, I'm definitely interested. You've piqued my interest. You've caught me on TikTok or YouTube or a podcast. Now, how do we help them convert, right? How do we help them move across the finish line and actually get into this pipeline? And, number 5 here, and I think that this is incredibly unconventional when you think about the conventional ways that people do it. Simplify your application process. I cannot tell you the amount of job applications that I've seen in my day that are way longer than they need to be. And I'm sure you've seen this too, on your side of the house, Luke. What is the most ridiculous application process you've seen? And how often do you see things of that length?
Often. You see things all the time. I remember when I was getting a job at Phenom, I went through the whole thing of filling out applications, and they are insane. Before you even have a conversation, there's some of them now that have hour-long assessments that are attached to the application. And then even some of the little things. So, I see some of the things we wrote down here, like strip out what you don't need. One of the things that we see is a huge killer in application conversion is your past 3 places that you worked.
Yeah.
And they're crazy. They're never simple. It's like, hey, where's the last place you worked? Oh, and what's its address?
Right.
I've been here for 2.5 years. I can't tell you Phenom's address. I know it's an Ambler. I put it into my GPS. But when people see that, especially if they're on a mobile device, they're gone. It's information they can't readily pull up.
Right.
It's a huge roadblock.
Luke, while we're on that note, can you tell me the phone number of your manager, your direct manager from 12 years ago?
Of course. Yeah. Just let me pull that up right now.
I have that right here. Yeah. So these are the types of things, right? And like, we're joking about this, and I think any normal person who's listening to this would also laugh and be like, yeah, that sounds ridiculous. But then if you go through an application process, they're there. Like, these questions are there, and many times they're required, and you can't pass through. You can't go from step 7 to 8, unless you fill out the social security number of the first person who interviewed you at a company 12 years ago. And it's just ridiculous that we make people jump over through hoops and kind of at great lengths just to be able to do this.
Yes.
Reduce the friction, right? So that is unconventional. It's sad that that's unconventional, but it is. Reduce the friction in your application process. How simple do you think you can go? Like, what are your thoughts around, like, what's the bare minimum just to get through that initial, hey, I'm interested in this job?
Name, email, and phone number.
It's perfect.
That's what and I mean, if we want to look at one side of the extreme, a lot of entry level positions, which if we look at our economy today, that's where the country is hurting, we are hurting for positions where people don't have resumes.
Sure.
And we're asking them for that.
Cover letters, resumes. Right. Yeah,
that's right. I had at a job I had, this was like a decade ago, huge auto parts company. And so we were going through the sales cycle, and I called their TA team and I said, hey, who's the most successful person in the entire company? And said, well, it's this guy named Cliff out in Bowie, Maryland. And I was like, if you had 10 Cliffs, you'd just be in great shape. And they were like, yeah, we'd be great. I was like, all right, I'm going to go talk to Cliff. So I drove out to Bowie, Maryland.
Yeah.
I get there and so I'm going through their application process and I'm talking to the guys, and I asked Cliff, hey Cliff, like what, is your resume updated? It's like easy questions, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, what's that? Like something you type out on like a word processor? I don't have one of those. And he looks over at his coworker and he goes, do you have a resume? And he said the same thing, like on a computer? No.
Yeah.
So then I went back to the talent acquisition team and I said, do you realize the best people in your company don't even have that? They literally don't have what you're asking them for.
Yeah. And you're requiring it. Like, it's not even optional. Like, it is a requirement just to put my name in the ring of, hey, I'm qualified for this. Like, I want to work at your company, and you're making it so hard for me just to signify to you and just let you know that I'm interested. It's
zero to conversation,
yes.
Right? That's what we need.
Yeah.
Zero to conversation. The quickest way we can get that done, you'll be successful.
Yeah. And we understand, the ATS might require more, right? But that can come after the initial conversation and after you're starting to qualify the candidate. I love that. And this fits in with number 6 perfectly, which I would say the way I would phrase this, right? We had this conversation on TXL a few months ago, is the cover letter dead? And I think it's an important conversation. I think an unconventional thing is to just flip the cover letter on its head, right? And just not make it the traditional requirement that it's always been, which is type out a cover letter, type a formal letter to the potential employee. This could be a number of things. One of the things that I've seen that I really appreciate is video, right?
Yep.
Just record a video, and the software, the technology is there to enable this super easily. We're implementing this on the Phenom side, and we're seeing great success here where you can allow people to just use their phones or their laptop cameras to record simple video and submit that. So instead of having them go through the trouble of writing a traditional cover letter, have them answer a few questions or have them do a direct address video and just submit that. And it's a great way for you to get to know the candidate as well. You have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. Oh, I have tons of thoughts. You're going to get me heated on this, Tom. So
let's get heated. Cool.
Yeah. So I am not a fan of the cover letter at all.
Sure.
And let me drill into why I despise the cover letters. Number one, you can't determine at all if that person is a cultural fit for your organization. I'm talking the soft skills. You look at the hard skills that you need for a job, you can train those. Almost every company in the world trains those. So if we're all equal when it comes to the skills, the only thing that's left are those soft skills or the cultural fit. What in the world does a stuffy cover letter do for you?
Yeah.
you can't see that person. You can't see if they're uptight, if they're relaxed, if they're in a position where they're talking to customers, do they look like they're easy to talk to? Are you relaxed when you're watching them talk? I mean, you can get those cues to understand if they're going to be a cultural fit for your organization through a video.
Yeah.
Phenom did a great job at this. So folks that are out there, when I applied for Phenom this 2.5 years ago, I don't know if we still do it. I hope we do.
I hope we do. Yeah.
I hope we do too. So we have 5 core values. So I got an email from Jen, recruiter at Phenom. She said, well, one of the things that we have you do is pick one core value and then tell us why you have that core value, and then we'll share it with the hiring managers. So it gave me an opportunity, something I could have never done with a cover letter, and I think helped me get the job. I took it a step further, and I did all 5 values.
Awesome. Yeah.
And instead of me, I had people references record them saying why I had that value.
Yeah.
And then sent it all in. That showed Phenom, I'm creative. I'm able to go above and beyond, and it gave me the edge to get the job, and it worked. But that could never come through in a cover letter.
Yeah, John chimes in too. Who is to say they even wrote the cover letter? Copy and paste from Google. A friend of mine did this. A friend, and honestly, whether you're copying and pasting from Google or having somebody help doctor it up or proofread it or do other things, I think the important thing here too to consider is that for most jobs, writing is not a requirement. So if you're a terrible writer, that shouldn't hurt your ability to get noticed or even considered for the job, and I think that, video allows you to bring your authentic full self to that opportunity. And to your point, Luke, get really creative with it. I won't put John on the spot, but I know for a fact John has done some amazing video cover letter style performances in his day. Maybe that's a conversation for another day. But you can totally get creative with this, and you're enabling candidates to get creative when you remove that requirement from your application. That's simple. That's right. Submit your cover letter. It's just an upload field that's required. .docx, and it's like, submit it in the right format and move on. Sometimes even without a prompt, right? To your point about Phenom, the prompt goes a long way too. Just give people some direction, let them have fun with it.
The video is you. It's you. Yeah. It's literally the most important part of recruiting. Yet we're asking them for a cover letter that doesn't reflect that person at all. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is totally crazy. And John Harrington is asking, did it work? Asking for a friend regarding copying and pasting a cover letter. Hey, let's not even think about whether or not it worked. We want cover letters to change. They are far too conventional. And the purpose of this episode is to talk about the top 10 unconventional ways to hire. So let's move on in the interest of time to number 7. Luke, I'm going to turn this one over to you. Getting personal with referrals.
Oh, this one's super easy. We're going to breeze by this one quick. So referrals are something, I know there's referral bonuses out there and everything like that. Very rarely do those types of systems work. And why? Well, people care more about helping other people and getting happiness from that than they do about money. It's a fact. You can look it up. But this is super easy. Your direct manager goes to the team and says, I need one referral from each of you by the end of the week. That will work. Do I know people I can refer? Of course I do. Eric at Phenom has asked me, and I've done it. I've given it to him by the end of the week. He follows up with them personally, and those are amazing people. They're good referrals. And just the fact that I'm putting someone in there, he's reaching out right away. Those are 5 interviews, at least on our team, that would have not have happened in 1 week. So I think the simplest way is just to get super personal with the referrals, ask people for them personally, and then reach out and follow up personally.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's a little sad that personal outreach might be unconventional, but at a lot of organizations it is, right? And I think we have to think about that. It's like we get so stuck oftentimes in the way that we've always done things, right? And honestly, referral programs, just in general, even the ones that have the monetary incentive, they get so formulaic to the point that people aren't energized by it, right?
That's right.
I think getting personal is unconventional at many organizations. A personal invitation from the hiring manager to the team doing personal outreach, and then having the hiring manager do the personal outreach to those who were referred. It's awesome, right? So let's do that. I love that.
It's so different. But
Yeah.
picture yourself in a candidate's shoes.
Yeah.
All right. You're a candidate. You are the referral. So somebody submits you into the portal. That's how it always happens.
Yep.
Then you get a generic email through the portal. Then a recruiter reaches out to you. You're not that invested in this opportunity. Now, if a hiring manager reaches out to you first, even if it's a 2-minute conversation and says, you know what, Tom, really impressed. I want to put you through the process. You're going to hear from, Luke over in HR. They're going to reach out and do the first step phone screen for you here. I'm in. Like, I am vested in that opportunity, and I'm excited about it. It's different,
Hey, real quick, if you're tuning in live on LinkedIn or YouTube, shout out with a +1 in the comments if you are the product of a referral. If you are in a great job, or you were in a great job as a result of being a referral, of having been referred, give me a +1 in the chat. Super curious, because honestly, I was referred at Phenom. My previous job, I was referred, right? Like, referrals are honestly the greased chute, like they can really move the right candidates into the right roles. And I'd love to see, just if anybody chimes in, if it's happening out there, and I'm confident that it is. Transitioning over to kind of the end of our conversation, unfortunately, is how do we close the deal, right? So we've attracted candidates. We've gotten them into filling out an application by simplifying it, right? And by making it super easy for them to go from zero to conversation. We see that they're the right fit. They are confident that they're the right fit. How do we close the deal, and how do we make that initial phase of joining a company as incredible as possible using unconventional ways? So number 8, we have send a welcome, congrats, we're excited video. I love this. I received one at Phenom. Luke, I don't know if you did. Did you?
Of course I did. Yeah.
Okay. Hit me with your story. How did that go for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, even the offer at Phenom is in a video. So for folks that are outside of Phenom, when you get an offer, it's an email with an attachment, and it's a video of a group of people and your future hiring manager together, like saying, hey, Luke, yay, we'd love to offer you the job and join the team. It is so out there and not normal that I remember I got it when I was in the car on my way back from Philadelphia. And I had to pull over the car just to take a moment because I was so happy and just felt so invested within the company to get that. I sent it to my wife. It just created an amazing moment for me.
Oh my gosh. Let's see who's in the chat. Maria, Kylie gave us their +1 on being referrals. Congratulations. I hope that you're in an incredible job. We also have, hopefully we have Amy hanging on too, John, Jen. I think you will all agree, to all of those who are tuning in, that joy is contagious, right? Yeah. It's one of those things. Like, joy is just one of the most contagious things in the world. When you see someone who's joyous, when you watch a joyous commercial that's well produced, a joyous movie, when you hear a joyous song, like, that feeling transmits somehow from that source to you, and it is incredibly contagious, right? And I think that what I found with my offer video, and also my acceptance video at Phenom, was so much authentic joy coming through that video. They brought in, it wasn't just the HR team too. They brought in members from the marketing team. And I love that. Like, I just thought that it was the best way to make me feel like I was a part of something before I was even officially a part of something, which is, again, very unconventional these days. I mean, I think the conventional route here is we'll be emailing you an offer letter, within the next 24 hours. And it's very stiff and formulaic and programmatic. And we can do better than that. There's another thing that we do after we start, which is, again, I cried. I don't know if you.
Me too.
I cried. Okay, I cried. Cries. So I'm not ashamed to say this. I cried. When you start here at Phenom, I don't know how they do this, right? But the HR team, the hiring team, manages to find a way to have your friends and family members and close connections record we hope you have a fantastic first day at work video. And they pull you into a conference room. Actually, you know what? I'm spoiler alert for anybody who might be future Phenom. I feel like I'm giving away secrets here.
Gosh, you are.
Yeah. Please, if you are considering working at Phenom, please turn off the TV or the computer screen, right? I don't want you to get these spoilers, right? But they'll bring you into a conference room and you think like it's going to be a serious, you think it's like a serious talk with HR, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then they'll crack open a laptop and they'll show you a mashup of all these videos. And I have 3 small kids, right? And prior to this, I was working remotely. I mean, we're all working remotely now, but prior to this, I was working remotely. So I got to see my kids every day. So a big transition for me was I'm not going to be able to see my kids every day now, right? So my first day video was with my 3 kids. And honestly, I teared up. Like I really did. It was such a simple thing that was unconventional that made me feel 1,000 times more confident. I was already 100% confident, but 1,000 times more confident that I was at the right place. Right.
Yeah. And we don't get that from our kids, our family, our parents. Very rarely do people take time to sit down, look into a camera and say how proud they are of you or how much they appreciate you. We don't get that. And to get that from our family, but provided from the company that we just signed on for, is ridiculously impactful. I cried too. Everyone cries.
Yeah. So I think if you're out there, listening to this, I'm curious if anybody in the chat, is at an organization who's doing something similar to this, where you're recognizing your people as people and you're really reaching out and engaging with them in that way after they're hired or as they're being hired. It's super impactful, right? So think about this as one of the most unconventional things that you can do that will have an incredible impact on your ability to hire and then retain, right? It's hire, connect, and retain. And this is it. Like reach out to people as people. I love it. So the next one, not as personal, right? But it can be, right? And this is what we'll talk about. Number 9, send them some swag, right? Send them some swag. Send them a little something special. Maybe we shouldn't say swag, right? Because swag is something we all get, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah, something we all get.
Is that what it is?
Stuff we all get, I think is what it stands for. Stuff we all get, right?
That. Wow.
So stuff we all get. Swag is by nature, it's generic stuff that we all get, right? So stuff that you get specifically, I think is what you want to achieve, right? So what are some things that you think you can do to make this extra special? So it's not just like, hey, here's the branded t-shirt.
Dude, Phenom sent me a pair of sunglasses and said, and there's a note in there that said, your future here is bright.
Love it.
Right? It was amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. And it's personal and it's unique and it's unconventional. I remember I had to fill out a quick intake form for Phenom, and it was like, what's your favorite song? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I put out my favorite song. It's like, what's your favorite snack? Right. And I don't snack a ton. So I put pineapple. It's my favorite fruit. And when I showed up, there was a playlist that was playing in the lobby and I recognized my favorite song. And when I got to my desk, there was a little pint of pineapple. And it's like,
amazing.
Like you have the opportunity, right, to engage your employees this way, to learn a little bit about them and to just go that little extra mile to make things special. It's not conventional, but it works and it's helpful. And then number 10, let's close it out. I'll turn this over to you, Luke, because you shot at this one. So ask about accommodations. Why is this unconventional and why is this important?
Oh, let me tell you. So accommodations, and when people think about accommodations, think of it way out there. So the first thing I put down is like a chair. Somebody have a bad back and they need a special chair. Do they have carpal tunnel and they need a special keyboard? These are things that we can ask, right? But then also let's use it to dig into their personal situation and find out what's important to them, because that's where you create loyalty between your new employee and the team. I had a meeting last week with a lady named Joyce Russell. She used to be the president of Adecco, and now she's president of the Adecco Foundation. And she was telling me about how she, worked over 30 years at Adecco to become president. And the number one thing she said was around not only working with the best companies, but hiring the best and focusing on treating them the best. So a couple things she recommended. Number one is she said with her team, they did 8 to 4 and out the door Monday through Thursday. And then every Friday, they only worked a half day so that they could have the second half of the day to run errands so that they got a full weekend. In addition, if it was a parent, especially this really matters if it's a single parent, she was asking these questions at the beginning. Because if you're working with a single parent, you know that they need to go there to pick up their kids or maybe drop them off at school and pick them up. These are little tiny accommodations that mean the world to people. And that is how you get that person to show up and do their best every single day. And the amount that they'll give back into the company, the leadership, and their coworkers is tenfold just by asking questions that I think leaders need to be a lot better at asking.
If you do this right, the Great Resignation is not even a conversation.
It's not.
It's in your environment. The Great Resignation is a conversation for the headlines and for the publications. It is not even an issue at your organization if you do this right.
That's right.
And I love it, Luke. I think that was a fantastic one to close on. So if you're just tuning in, this is Talent Experience Live. I'm here with Luke Carignan. We covered the top 10 most, I won't even say the top, right? Because you can get way more wild than this, and I'd love to hear about those. But we covered 10 unconventional ways to hire. I'm going to run through them real fast. Use video on your career site. Start a podcast. We're here to help you with that. If you have any questions, create a YouTube channel, start creating TikTok content, meet people where they are. Number 5, simplify your application process as much as you can. Number 6, flip the cover letter on its side. It doesn't have to be so stuffy. Number 7, get personal with referrals. Luke walked through a great process for this that is super easy for any team to replicate. Number 8, send a welcome, congrats, we're excited video. We also talked about that first day on the job video that can be incredibly touching and impactful. Number 9, send swag, make it very personal. And number 10, ask about accommodations and see what you can do to just make that employee's life that much more easier. And again, enable them and allow them to bring 100% of their best self to work. Luke, before we let you go, I know that you have a hard stop. I want to do something unconventional. I'll put a quick call out to anybody who is listening still on LinkedIn. If anybody wants to come on camera and join me after Luke leaves and share something unconventional from their hiring history, I'd love to hear it. So even if you're new to the show, even if you're camera shy, I'd love to hear anything that you want to add to this conversation, because this is a conversation. This isn't just me and Luke. We want to have this conversation with everybody. So open invitation, shout out in the chat if you want to come on. We'll find a way to get a link to you. It's okay if you didn't shower today. No judgment here. And I know Jonathan Dale has ideas too, so I don't know where he is, but if he wants to hop on, I'd love to have him. Luke, before I let you go, I just want to comment on your incredible paint color in your office.
Yours too.
Yeah.
Yours too.
So we discovered that we have very similar shades of blue here. Luke has The Witching Hour.
That's right. By Benjamin Moore. That's right.
By Benjamin Moore.
Yeah.
Talent Experience Live, now brought to you by Benjamin Moore. Because I have In the Midnight Hour by Benjamin Moore. Great shades of blue. So I had to applaud you on that.
They're on the same swatch, probably.
Yes.
Is that what they call them, the swatch?
They're on the same swatch. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It. Luke, any final thoughts before we let you go?
Just thanks so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. I could talk very passionately about this for hours on end. So I appreciate you having me on. Hope I was able to help. And if anybody ever wants to reach out, you can find me, Luke Carignan, on LinkedIn, Facebook, luke@phenompeople.com. I'm usually pretty quick to respond. So would love to hear from folks.
And check out the Bo and Luke show. What do we
have?
80 some episodes, right?
Yeah, we've actually recorded over 100. We've dropped a little over 80. So yeah, we're recorded out all the way through the end of the year, which is fantastic. We're now top 2.5% of all podcasts globally, and we got some awesome guests coming up.
Awesome. Yeah. So check out the Bo and Luke show. And Luke, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And we'll catch you soon.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Take care.
Awesome. Well, that was Luke. So happy to have him and kind of go through these unconventional ways to hire. I didn't get any takers in the chat, right? No takers in the comments. So it doesn't look like we're going to have any surprise guests on today. unless anybody wants to jump on last minute. So what we'll do is our amazing producer, Justin, he put together a quick video that I want to share. And let's just roll the video. When we come back, I'm going to talk about what this video is. So let us know. Maria asks if the recording will be available for viewing later. Yes, Maria, you can definitely check this out. It'll live on forever in LinkedIn and also in our YouTube archive. So you can check that out on LinkedIn. Follow Phenom. We'd love to have you as a follower. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can get notified anytime we go live. Thanks for joining us today, Maria. So Justin, let's roll that video, and then I'm going to talk about how awesome it is after the video is over.
It's being called the Great Resignation. A record number of Americans are telling their bosses, I quit.
4.3 million people quit in August. That's the highest number of people quitting on record dating back to more than 20 years. And that's up from 4 million who walked away from jobs in June.
Many businesses are suffering from a major shortage of workers. With the 10.4 million jobs open, employers are scrambling to find help.
And according to analysts, hiring new employees is only half the battle. Companies face a steep penalty if they are unable to retain employees they already have.
A new survey from productivity firm Lattice found that 54% of respondents are looking to change jobs, and 43% say their career paths have stalled or, quote, slowed to a crawl.
There's all kinds of reshuffling and reallocation happening in the economy, and that's going to cause friction and a lot of pain for human resources departments, frankly.
My gosh, it's amazing, right? So what you just saw is, it's not the sequel to Braveheart, although it might have sounded like it if you weren't watching the video. We have an incredible event that we are producing here at Phenom. We are calling it Phenom AI Day. It's going to be live on December 9th. We're going to go live at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Head on over to ai.phenom.com if you want to sign up for this. And I definitely encourage that you do. We're limiting this to 5,000 seats, right? And we're at only, I think, 4,200 seats left. So here's the link, ai.phenom.com. At Phenom, we have an experience platform, and that experience platform is powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we believe here at Phenom that when you think about all these challenges, and we touched on them in that short video clip that you saw, when you think about all these challenges that HR is facing today, we've never seen anything like this, right? The Great Resignation we talked about earlier, just the incredible demand for talent, this heated nature that we're living in and operating in. We believe that there's only one way to hire and retain the next 1 billion people, and that's our purpose here at Phenom, to help 1 billion people find the right job. And that's with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, AI, it can be a scary word for some. It can be a buzzword for others. AI is not here to replace us. AI is here to enable us. And we're going to showcase how we do that here at Phenom. And we're going to showcase the incredible impact that this is having for the organizations that are using our platform. So we want you to be a part of it. We invite you to sign up for this. It's going to be at our production studio, live, not in my basement here, but in Ambler, Pennsylvania. We have an incredible high-tech production studio. We're going to be broadcasting Phenoms from all across the globe, in Israel, India, Germany, Netherlands. We're going to have our full team dedicated to bringing an experience unlike anything we've ever done before here at Phenom. So we're very excited about this. Field experts who are working within the world's most prominent enterprises. We're going to be talking all about artificial intelligence. If you're new to AI, you're going to learn a ton. If you're an AI expert, you're going to get a glimpse at what is under the hood, right? What is under the hood here at Phenom. So we are very, very excited for this. Head on over to ai.phenom.com. But that ends my pitch. I hope that you do. I hope that you join us for this because I'm excited. But without any further ado, I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. So we have Maria, Christina, John, Kylie. We had Amy Skiles pop in earlier. Jen. We had Jonathan Dale. Always thank you for so much for your incredible tagline for this event. It's been amazing. We hope that you'll join us next week, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, for another episode of Talent Experience Live. I'm going to try again in a future week to try to get a stranger, somebody who's never been on the show, to just hop on unexpectedly. We'll see how that goes. A little chaos never hurt anybody. But until then, thank you so much for joining, and hopefully we will see you next week.